And so starting at a high level, Michael, how would you say the pandemic of 2020 has impacted the macro economy?
In 2020 and our response to the pandemic is a lot of business as usual was no longer practical, and eventually found is no longer necessary. We're all, I think, pretty familiar with some big changes, the transition and acceleration to remote work, and with that transformation and acceleration to remote education. And yeah, you could say 2020 saw a certain crystallization and conversion to a much more efficient economy. I think you could say it's the end of the commute and the end of business travel as we know it. The nexus of business activity shifted from the office to the home, and nexus of shopping activity shifted from stores to the handset or the computer. Nexus shifted away from hotels, away from public squares. It became a lot harder for us to congregate. It became a lot harder to do things that required mass and motion. And as we found that we have to do things remotely, that accelerated the virtualization of entire segments of our economy.
Can you tell us a little bit about how that's affected the business operations?
I think most businesses realize now they have to have a virtual storefront. If you're going to sell goods or services, it's unlikely you're going to do them manually, close contact. And as we have transitioned from doing things manually in a labor-intensive, capital-intensive, real estate-intensive fashion, we've realized our websites are more important. Our social media presence is much more important. And the software that we use to either market the product or sell the product or service the product has become much more important. There's a real big shift to we talk about digital transformation. This was a massive acceleration in digital transformation of lots and lots of things.
Yeah, so you've talked a little bit about how it's impacted business operations, products and services. What would you say it's impacted on the financial markets?
The things that we can dematerialize to software travel very, very quickly. If we could virtualize it, virtual products, virtual services exploded in utility in the last 12 months. Manual products and services were much more challenged and attenuated. And of course, what we discovered is that financialization, anything that can be expressed as a financial product, was able to move virtually. We can move $1 million as easily as $1 billion, as easily as $1. And so those kind of businesses scale very, very rapidly. I think what we saw in 2020, as we call a K-shaped recovery, we saw that manual Main Street based products and services they disseminated very slowly. They're very challenged. They have to be really completely rethought, and people shifted their demand away from them. On the other hand, financial products bounced back much more rapidly. You could almost say the political response to the pandemic is such that it's very challenging to do things that require material and manual labor, but governments found it's much easier to distribute virtual products, and the ultimate virtual product is money, and financial products. So the response to the pandemic tended to be a fiscal and a monetary stimulus response, and that resulted an explosion of interest in those things. As the financial markets recovered, just about everybody started downloading the Square Cash application. They downloaded Robinhood. They started to focus upon financial activity. If you can't go to a sporting event, and gamble on the sporting event, you can go to the stock market and you can gamble on the stock market because it's completely virtualized.
Yeah. So you use this term a lot at the company, virtual wave. What exactly is the virtual wave?
The virtual wave's a paradigm shift, a big paradigm shift. The last major paradigm shift was the mobile wave, and that kicked off in 2010. And that was the transformation of software from the desktop and the laptop to the mobile device. And the virtual wave is a dramatic acceleration in the dematerialization of processes and products, and the way that we interact with people. It used to be that we went to business events, and all of a sudden the business events dematerialized to be online events. It used to be we went to business meetings, and the business meetings dematerialized to be Zoom meetings. Just a dramatic transformation in the way that we live.
Who would you describe to be the big technology winners of the virtual wave?
As we transitioned from communicating to people in person, we started communicating online, and so you saw a dramatic growth in dependence on Twitter, right? I think we've seen an explosion in utilization of YouTube. People are now using YouTube to upload educational content as well as upload entertainment content. And in a world where you can't go to a football stadium and you're on your computer, or you can't go to a movie theater, then you tend to go to the products that make it easiest to stream that video. And so Twitter and YouTube are big winners. We all know the story of Zoom, which went from 10 million users to 400 million users in a matter of weeks. We've seen an explosion in social media. We've seen an explosion in online streaming video. We all know the stories of the entertainment online streaming services. I mean, Netflix is a big winner. Disney Plus has been a big winner. And in the business world, AWS, Azure, cloud service providers have seen an explosion in demand. All of these things are ways to virtualize a message, virtualize a service, virtualize a product.
What would you say that it takes to really compete in the new world?
If I replace 10,000 salespeople with one website, then what I'm doing is I'm automating the sales activity, right? And so there's an explosion in demand for coding skills to automate. The other thing that I've noticed is, it used to be you would have 5,000 bars with 5,000 different bands playing at the same time. Now you have one band playing on YouTube to 500,000 people. What you have is an explosion of popularity of the celebrities and the best products. So specialization is really important. The world doesn't want the average bluegrass band. The world wants the best bluegrass band on YouTube. And that means the bluegrass band that records in super high definition 4K with great stereo sound, that's attractively produced, that puts out really high quality content every single week. That band might very well generate 1 million followers or 1 million customers. The good news is the band explodes, and the bad news is 3,700 local bands whose primary value proposition is they're in front of your face playing at the county fair on a Saturday afternoon, they struggle. So specialization is really key. You need to be the best in the world at what you do. Automation is really key. You need to find a way to deliver it via a website. Acceleration is really key. People expect lots of high quality content and really good services and features to be delivered faster. All of these things play into the notion of virtualization. And what do we really want in this world? Well, we want people that have insanely great coding skills, or we want people that have really good communication skills. if you can communicate, tell me why I want to buy that product, we can upload that to YouTube. You might have 350,000 views.